Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu salam ala rasulillahi wa ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Mufti. I hope you and your family are having a blessed Ramadan, a very blessed Ramadan, inshallah. I saw a woman during Taraweeh pull out her phone, and she was, to my understanding, maybe following the Imam through her Quran app. Is the use of technology allowed during Salah? Jazakallah khairan. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. I hope the same for you and your family as well. But thank you very much for your kind words. May Allah bless you in both worlds. The scholars of Islam, they have different views with regards to holding the Mus'haf in the Salah. Some of them say it's nothing wrong with holding it. It's an extra prayer. It's an involuntary prayer. You can sit down, certain movements or certain things that are allowed in the voluntary prayer, and it's the involuntary prayer is not obligatory, la bas. It's okay for you to hold the Mus'haf in that act of prayer. So with that being said, or based off of that understanding, then there's no difference between holding the Mus'haf and reading it from the phone. It's a Mus'haf on your phone. It's a Mus'haf in your phone. And obviously there are certain rulings pertaining to the phone, the Quran app, and the Mus'haf with regards to having wudu, putting it on the ground, etc. But the general concept of someone holding something to read something behind the Imam. So according to those ulama who say that it's okay, then perhaps there's nothing wrong with that. But a few things have to be taken into consideration. And the first thing is being aware that the phone is in airplane mode. You don't want the phone, or not even just airplane mode, make sure it's not connected to any Wi-Fi connection. Because you're reading the Mus'haf and then you get a WhatsApp, or you get a Viber, or you get a Google Hangout, or a text message, or a notification from Amazon. Your package has shipped. It's delivered. Delivery attempt. You get a message from this one and from that one, a video, whatever comes up. You get a phone call and it's a musical ringtone, or whatever the case may be. So you have to make sure that all of those things are off, because now you're no longer reading the Mus'haf, but you're actually studying or corresponding with somebody or texting, or whatever the case may be. And that's unbefitting of the Salah. That's unbefitting of the Salah. And then some ulama who say that the Imam who recites, you should follow him, and you don't have to pick up the Mus'haf. You don't have to follow him. Just go with what you know and what you have memorized. Other ulama, they hold that view. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Question 2. But before we go to the second question, the concept of technology is nothing more than a branch of the original ruling. Technology is nothing more than a means. It's a means. I can read from a piece of paper, I can read from an index card, I can read from my iPad. It's all the same. Question 2. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I hope you're well, bidhnillahi ta'ala. Is there anything wrong in reading moral stories to your children like Aesop fables? Does this go against our creed? And fiction stories in general should stay away from them. Jazakallahu khairan wa barakallahu feek, mu'allim. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh wa feek barakallah. Jazakallahu khairan. Scholars of Islam, they say there's nothing wrong with a Muslim to write fictional stories if they're a novelist or a writer, something which is educational and beneficial and wholesome. So if you can write it according to that view, then there's nothing wrong with reading it. So fiction in which there is a benefit and a wisdom, something that is to be taken and extracted therefrom for your children, and it isn't something which is outlandish, then perhaps within that time there's nothing wrong with that, inshallah. As far as moral stories like Aesop's fables and things like this, then we've given you the general ruling of fiction and wisdom. Me personally, it's my personal opinion. You don't have to agree, you don't have to like it, or whoever hears the recording doesn't have to agree or doesn't have to like it. As some people have said before, once we mentioned in the lecture, and then we asked a question about books, and I had mentioned something about reading novels and how I read English books and I enjoy novels. And it got back to me through a third source that a brother felt very uncomfortable with this statement. He didn't say it to my face, of course, no one does that nowadays, but said it behind my back. The brother said, why would he say that he likes novels? Why would he tell the people that? Why would he say this? Novels are haram, you can't read anything. Even if, who said it was a fictional novel? I said a novel. It could be an autobiography. It could be a true story, a historical account of something. But anyhow, he said you shouldn't have told the people that. So if the person likes it or whoever likes it, dislike it, that's fine. You're entitled to your own opinion. We all know what our culture says about opinions. Everyone has one. That's fine. But at the end of the day, I think books like Aesop's Fables and I think games like chess and things like this are not only permissible, but I think that they're mandatory for our children, especially in these times in which the children have to learn wisdom at a young age. They have to learn strategy at a young age. They have to learn sacrifice at a young age. They have to learn the necessity of expenditure at a young age. You cannot keep this pawn and win the game. You have to lose it. You have to sacrifice. You have to give up something to win something bigger and greater. You have to think before you move. You have to ponder all of the squares on the board before you make one move, son or daughter. And the same applies to life. Before you get married, before you make a business deal, before you travel, before you do this, you have to think about it. You have to ponder carefully. You have to reflect. And only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the wisdoms that are found in a book like Aesop's Fables. Only Allah knows the tangible life wisdoms that many grown people don't practice. And only Allah knows some of the reasons behind the generations being so different. Why is your grandmother such a wise old woman? As it states in a Chinese proverb, they say that a house in which there's an old grandparent, it said it harbors a hidden gem. The house in which there's an elderly grandparent harbors a hidden gem. Why is your grandmother so wise? Why were people back in the 70s and the 60s and the 50s so different, so hardworking? Why was their life more blessed? Why did their marriages last longer? Why was there crime? It wasn't like how it is today. Things were so different because these are staple books that they had and they were taught in school, in kindergarten, and preschool. Staple things. Basic concept of the tortoise and the hare. The basic concept of the donkey dressed up like a wolf. The basic concept of the lion, of a bully, of this and that. This is wisdom. Who can reject that wisdom? Who can reject that wisdom? And oftentimes, especially to a child, this wisdom you cannot get that wisdom across if you say this real life story and this real life person. Even say a hadith, they may not be able to understand it and get it 100%. But you say there was a toad, there was this, it was this animal. It's a whole different concept of their ears being open now. And that's why the book has become such a popular book. And that's why it's a timeless classic. That's why it's a timeless classic. And there are other books as well. So oftentimes people, they say it's haram. You can't read this book. You can't have this novel. You can't have this fictional thing. It's haram. But you go on their Facebook pages. You go on their Instagram pages. You look at their lifestyles, the foods they eat, the clothes that they wear, the expensive spendthriftness. You look at how they treat their wives and their children. You look at all of their... That's not haram, ya akhi. The stuff that you're doing, that you're publicizing, that's not haram. The skeletons that you don't even have in your closet. There's no such thing as skeletons in the closet anymore. Facebook, there's no closet anymore. Everything's public. That's not haram. That's the way of the Salaf. This is hypocrisy. This is hypocrisy. So the concept of a book and the value of a book and the importance of a book and getting your children to be attached to books from a young age is extremely critically important to the Muslim. And oftentimes that is done through books like this, moral books, the moral of the story. And don't ever underestimate those things. And anyone who is taught those stories at a young age properly, to this day, they still remember them. And they have the ability to quote them and to mention them. And this is when in any religion, biblical stories, any way of life, any people, they all have their set of wisdom. Okay, so Islam does not come to destroy a person's values and a person's culture. That's not Islam. So that's my humble opinion on the issue. As long as there's nothing which is kufr and shirk, as long as there's nothing which is calling to debauchery or lewdness or haram things, then there's nothing wrong with it. And that's my humble opinion. That's mentioned by some of the ulama of Islam, and the proofs and the evidences and the reasoning behind that. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. Question 3. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Does a girl who has older brothers have to serve and honor them because they are her mahram? Is this something that should be instilled in the female because the males have a higher degree over her? Jazakallahu khairan wa barakallahu feek mu'alim. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh wa feek barakallah. The scholars of Islam, they differ on the obligation of a woman serving her husband. Does she have to serve her husband or not? That's her husband. As far as honoring your brother or the male relatives, the mahrams, etc., then there are general proofs about respecting someone who's older than you. Respecting people who are older than you, honoring people that are older than you. That's general, whether it's a boy or a girl, a male or a female, that's general. Also, if your older brother, who's your mahram, protects you, he looks after you, he takes care of you, he keeps you free and safe from harm, then it's only right that you show him a amount of respect. And me personally, in answering this question, I'm going to go back to what I just said about the old school. The old ways, the old school is that young people have to earn their keep. And from day one, you're taught that you're young and you're to respect the older people. You're supposed to go to the store. You're supposed to run the errands. You're supposed to get out and do this because you're young. And you have to earn your stripes, as they say. You have to learn. You have to look up to the people that are older than you, that are protecting you, that are taking care of you, that are paying for you. It's only right. It's only right. And the beauty of this system is that it's not just about you being my servant or my slave or my flunky, but it's about me teaching you the ropes of life. And you learn where to go and how to move and how to buy and how to purchase. You learn everything at a young age for free. For free. And that's the system of young, old, of an elder, and of a young person. So that's general wisdom of life. Is it obligatory for this young sister to scrub the floor and to bring them their food and to do this and to do that for them? Obviously, you need a proof from Quran and Sunnah to state that. And the general proof that Allah Azza wa Jalla gave preference of one sex over the other is not enough to say that a sister has to serve her older brothers in every single aspect. I don't think that that's correct. But the general concept of older brother, older sister, the general concept of a woman being, the question is about a woman, so no one attack me saying I'm a chauvinist or it's against women. The question is about a woman who's being bred and raised to be a housewife, to be a housemaker, okay? She has to be taught those skills. And she's not married yet, so she's taught those skills with her older brothers, okay? I don't see anything wrong with that. Is it necessary, obligatory in every issue? That's a different story. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Question 4. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Mufti. I hope you and your family are having a very blessed, I'll tell you, that's the same question. Question 5. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. If you attend the Taraweeh Salah, but you caught the second rak'ah, what do? Do you salam out with the imam or make up the missed rak'ah? Barakallahu feek mu'allimi. Perhaps if you make the extra rak'ah, there's nothing wrong with that. Bidnillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whereas the asl of the night prayer is that the night prayer is done in pairs. 2 rak'ah. That's the asl. However, one may say that the prayer is not obligatory. It isn't mandatory. So if I only catch 1 rak'ah, I don't have to make an extra rak'ah because it's not obligatory. Wallahu alam. Question 6. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. May Allah reward you well. I mean, can I make my small walk-in closet a place for itikaf? There are clothes hanging up in there. We get dressed and walk through it. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I mean, and you as well. Most of the scholars of Islam say, as we mentioned this morning for Salat al-Fajr, the class, is that a woman is not allowed to make itikaf in the masjid of her home or the musalla of her home. Not all of the scholars, but most of them, as we quoted from Sheikh Sayyid Sabiq, rahimahullah ta'ala. So with that being said, the walk-in closet is not a musalla at all. It's a cubby hole. It's not a musalla at all. So according to those ulama who say that you can make itikaf in the musalla of your house or the masjid of your house, is the closet considered a musalla? Are you going to make it into a musalla? How big is the closet? Are you going to take the clothes out? People walk in and out of the closet disturbing you and bothering you. All of those things have to be taken into consideration. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Question 7. Can we say I'm channeling someone, be they dead or alive, because you want to be like or do something in particular that they do or did, etc. Fulana dresses nicely, so I put on something nice and say I'm channeling Fulana, without meaning reincarnation, actual soul swapping, etc. Tayyib. I wouldn't say it. I wouldn't feel comfortable saying it. I'm channeling someone. Even if they have a proper intention, I'm imitating someone, I'm taking someone's style, I'm benefiting, I'm borrowing from them. La bas. But just the word I'm channeling someone, to me, it just sounds like it's some type of spiritual channeling, some type of mystical energy that you feel that you're getting through wearing these clothes that this person used to wear. Whether it's the same clothes of your dead deceased relative or the same style. I just don't feel comfortable with that statement. Is it absolutely haram? I can't say that. I don't have the authority to say that. Especially if the person has the proper intention. I'm honoring the way of this person by dressing like this. Or this was my brother, he used to, on Sunday, we always had a fish meal for dinner. So every Sunday I had fish because we missed some. But to say I'm channeling that person, I wouldn't say that. And Allah knows best. Question number 8. My lesbian aunt is getting married to her girlfriend. If my aunt refers to this woman as her wife, do I call her the same in their presence, knowing that same-sex couples can be truly married? How does one approach the situation? Barakallahu feek. Wa feek barakallah. This is from the modern day issues of today, unfortunately. That the things that the Muslims living in America or the UK or Canada or Australia or South America or wherever have to deal with. Same-sex marriages. As far as going to the wedding, I wouldn't go to the wedding. I wouldn't go to the wedding. I wouldn't go, and I would explain to my aunt or my aunt that, it's nothing personal, but, I just... وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَشْهَدُونَ الزُّورَ. Allah says, and those who don't take place, they don't bear witness to falsehood. They don't attend falsehood. I wouldn't do it. Now, it depends on the relationship that you have with your aunt, and it depends on how much of the deen you're practicing. If you're really practicing the deen and you've been doing it for some time, what are the chances of this aunt who's a lesbian getting married to a woman inviting you and they know you're going to come dressed in all black? Is that feasible? Is that even possible? Will they even invite you there? Allahu A'lam, the relationship that you have, try your best to explain to them. It's just a difficult thing for me to accept. Okay? As far as you referring to her as her wife, I mean, what can you do? Me and my wife are coming. Me and my wife are going there. Okay, tell such and such I said hi. Call her by name. Allahu musta'an. It's not an Islamic country. And Allah knows best. Question 9. Assalamu alaikum. Can you ask this question for me? A wife can't fast because of her illness. She gets a little money from the Social Security. Does she pay for her missed days or the husband pays? Can you get the proof? Shukran. Wa alaikum assalam. Afwan. The woman is supposed to pay for this from her own wealth. If the husband is kind enough to pay for it for her, then alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. It's a good thing. Why not? Why can't the husband? Why not? Bismillah. It being obligatory upon the husband, not necessarily. Same applies to Hajj. The husband does not have to pay for his wife to make Hajj. That is not his responsibility. If he does it out of his kindness, alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. If he's on the old school, the old way, that the man pays for everything, the woman, her money is no good in any situation, that's a good thing to do. The best of you are those who are best to their wives. Alhamdulillah. But as far as it being an obligation, Islamically, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Okay? So what's important is that if the sister has limited amount of money and she's terminally ill, then calculate it. So let's say 30 days each year. So that's 30 poor people. Let's say the meal is $10 a person in America or $7 a person in America. Perhaps the meal was far cheaper overseas in Central America or in Central Africa or in Saudi Arabia or in Yemen. So there are ways of you getting around the cost of it to the best of your ability. And I don't think that it's going to conflict and clash with a person's wealth if they have to pay the kafara. Okay, especially if you go to another place or another country, huh? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. So the woman should pay for it. She has to pay for it for her wealth. If the husband wishes to do it, perhaps that's fine, inshallah ta'ala. What's important is if the sister doesn't have it, then that's a different issue. That's a different fiqh ruling if she can't afford it at all. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.